We had 2 officer-involved shootings since you last met. One occurred this Tuesday past at about 2100 hours in Harbor area. Uniformed patrol officers responded to a man with a gun radio call. When officers arrived and were checking the area, they were directed by witnesses to a potential suspect, who the witnesses later described as being armed. He was identified as Eric Rivera, walking southbound on the west sidewalk of Wilmington Boulevard. Officers drove their vehicle towards him. As they did, Rivera turned toward them and produced what officers believed to be a handgun. Officers immediately exited their vehicle, and an officer-involved shooting occurred. Officers exited their vehicle in such haste that it was not placed in park. Mr. Rivera was struck by police gunfire, fell to the ground, and was hit by the rolling forward of the police vehicle. He died at scene, likely as a result of the gunshot wounds. A plastic toy handgun was recovered at scene. One of the officers sustained an arm injury, probably because of the action of the vehicle, but we are not sure at this point. Obviously, the investigation continues. Hopefully, much more detail will become apparent as that goes forward.
Malik.
Hi, I'm the father of Eric Rivera. He was brutally murdered by your police officers in the Harbor Division on June 6, 2017. This has to do with training. Mistake number 1, the day before, a 17-year-old child was killed on his doorstep. So the very next day, your police officers are rambling around the town trying to find anyone to blame for it. That's a mistake. Mistake number 2, when your officers rolled on to talk to my son, your officers left the car in drive. That's mistake number 2, negligence. Mistake number 3, when your officer got out of the car because he left the car in drive, he hit himself in the arm with his own car. That's negligence. Mistake number 4, your officer thought he got shot, but in reality, he hurt himself with his own vehicle. Mistake number 5, when you launch a car at someone, you can't point guns at him and say, hey, don't move or we'll shoot, because guess what? He has to get out of the way from the car because it's coming at him. Mistake number 6, you shot him 7 times. Mistake number 7, you ran him over with a car. Mistake number 8, the car mangled his body, broke his leg. Mistake number 8, you left the car on top of him. You didn't check on him for 20 minutes to 30 minutes. But you did check on your officer that hurt his arm from his negligence. Your training needs to be redone. You need to be rethought.
Hamid Khan. The next speaker, Philip Malik, followed by Topaz DuBois.
Hello, I'm Eric Rivera's father. So I just wanted to, I want to try to save the next kid's life when you do an officer-involved shooting. So I'm gonna give you some suggestions. You could load your gun with 3 rubber bullets before you use lead bullets. You could use your taser. You could, your technology in your vehicles, you could have them, when you open the door, that it puts the emergency brake on. My 2008 BMW, 10 years old, when you open the door, it puts itself in park. There's a lot of things you can do that you guys are not doing, and you know it. Rubber bullets, tasers, something else. And by the way, you guys are shooting people bursts of 8 on purpose because you want to kill them, because it costs more to pay for medical bills for the rest of the life of that person. So you're doing it on purpose. When you shoot someone in bursts of 8, or even shoot them once and then say, put your hands up, they're in shock. They can't put their hands up. And when you shoot them in bursts of 8, you are killing them on purpose. When you teach your officers to shoot the whole clip at somebody, that's a murder. You know this. And you're doing it on purpose so you don't have to pay medical bills and you don't get sued. So when you get sued, you don't have to pay that much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
The next speaker, Philip Malik, followed by Apollonia Cruz.
Hi, I'm the father of Eric Rivera. Just want you to know that Eric wasn't doing nothing wrong. He was just walking down the street with his toy. I mean, he's a 20-year-old kid. He only weighs 130 pounds. He's really skinny. And your officers just rolled up on him, told him, hey, you, come here. And then your officer left his car and drive, of course, because he doesn't know what he's doing. He wasn't trained correctly. And then he hit himself with his own car, and then he thought he was getting shot, and then he opened fire on my son, while at the same time he's launching his vehicle at him. How many mistakes do you need to make before you should know that they were out of policy? I mean, your decision should be coming up soon. That's why I'm here, to remind you what happened to him. Because what happened to him was not right, and it needs to be looked at, and something needs to be done, because I don't want any other children to be killed. Just because they're dark-skinned or they're poor does not mean you should be allowed to kill them. And that's what it really comes down to, is you guys are in the bad areas looking for somebody to kill, because you guys have to blame somebody for some kind of crime that you guys, something you made up or whatever. I don't know, but there's a lot of things you could do. More warnings, be more nicer to people. Some rubber bullets in the gun, 2 rubber bullets in the gun before you start shooting the hell out of them. More training, anything, do something.
Excuse me, we have 5 public comments.
Okay.
We have Philip Malik, followed by Jeremy Trumer and Melina Abdullah.
This is 2A.
2As.
Okay. Morning, sir.
Morning. I'm the father of Eric Rivera. He was murdered June 6th, 2017 by your LAPD Harbor Division officers. It's important to say that Eric was simply walking down the street, minding his own business, and the day before, your officers, there was a 17-year-old that died. He was shot on his porch, and your officers the very next day are running around the city trying to find who did it or something. That is bad police work. When your officers approached my son, your officers got out of the car, their police cruiser, and they left it in drive. That's bad police training. Your officer hurt himself with his own vehicle. That's just stupidity. After that, your officers pointed weapons at my son and told him to get down on the floor, and at the same time you launched a police cruiser at him and gave him the choice either to get ran over by a car or get shot. So what did your officers do? They shot him 7 times, 3 from behind, and they ran him over with this police cruiser.
One in the head.
One in the back of the head. This is really bad police work. I don't know what you're training these police officers, but it should not be training them to kill citizens that are simply walking down the street. My son had a toy with him, and it looked like Buzz Lightyear's ray gun. It was simply a toy. And if your officers can't tell the difference between a toy and a real gun, they should all be fired.
That's right. That's right.
Another thing, you guys did not check on him when he was on the floor for about 30 minutes, but you did check on your officer. That is terrible. Hello. So I just heard Chief Charlie Beck mention how many people died in January, and he forgot to mention that Dexter White was shot by your police officers for having a cell phone. Also, hey, let's start this year off with I'll give you guys a couple of suggestions. Let's start treating the citizens nicely. Like an example is the Disneyland workers. When you go to Disneyland, they're very nice to you. But when we encounter LAPD officers, they're mean, nasty people. Another thing we could start doing is drug testing them, because your LAPD officers, a lot of them are steroided out of their mind. Another suggestion is technology. My 2008 BMW, when I get out of it and I leave it in drive, it puts itself in park. Where's your technology? Another very good suggestion is, on your guys' guns, let's put 3 rubber bullets first, and then lethal lead bullets. Why don't we do that? Where's your tasers? Rubber bullets. Let's not just kill somebody for no reason at first. Jump out of your car and just start shooting people. Imagine that being your children. Imagine that. You're lucky you live in a nice area. Even the shitty area around here costs $700,000. Remember that. Remember that. Okay? We work hard. Our citizens work hard for our homes. We pay a lot of money for them, and then our children get killed by your police officers?
Philip Malik, followed by Christine Gatson and Valerie Rivera.
Hello. So I'm the father of Eric Rivera. He was killed June 6th, 2017 by the LAPD Harbor Division. Eric was simply just walking down the street when your officers approached him and gave him, you guys created the scenario of letting him pick either to get down on the ground, get ran over by your police cruiser, or getting shot by the police. Your officers draw down on him and told him, don't move, but at the same time you launched the police car at him. Right. What kind of choice is that?
And he got both. Shot and ran over still.
And you shot him 3 times from behind, one in the back of the head, which killed him. Imagine getting that choice for life. Imagine that. You guys need to start changing your attitude over here. You guys need to start changing things around here. You need to start doing something. Just sitting on your benches and doing nothing. These are innocent children you guys are killing. Do something about it. You got to do something. Do something. You hear me? You got to do something. The community is upset with all this. It's happening way too often. We want these officers held accountable. Prosecute a couple of them. Put a fear in them so they won't just start shooting. The only reason they do that because you give them immunity.
Thank
The
you.
next speaker, Philip Malik, followed by Adam Smith and Peter Van Brennan.
Sir?
Yep. So your LAPD officers from the Harbor Division killed my only son, my only child. And they created the situation and the scenario of them launching a vehicle at him while at the same time they're saying, hey, don't move. And you train these officers to shoot in bursts of 8 or 9 or 10 to kill. Now that's not good, and you guys should, where's the rubber bullets? Where's the tasers? Where's the stun guns? Why do you have to use lethal force right away? My BMW, if you get out of it while it's in drive, it goes in the park on its own. Where's the technology? Right or wrong? You guys are negligent. The way you run the department is negligent. Your officers that killed my son were negligent. Prosecute these police officers that kill people. That's the only way that they're going to stop, because they already know they have immunity from you guys and from the DA. They're giving them immunity so they don't give a crap. They're going to shoot anyone they want. And on top of that, that's not an excuse. I feared for my life. That's not an excuse at all. You need to widen that range. And I already know that you guys have this thing where if anyone points anything at you, that you're allowed to shoot them. That's bad because everybody has their cell phone in their hand. That's everybody's hobby, to have their cell phone in their hand. Just like a selfie stick. Now, if you have the right to shoot everybody that has something in their hand.
Thank you, sir.
Adam Smith.
Community, so if you can't control yourself, I'll ask you to leave. Go ahead, sir.
Don't you disrupt it to you, Steve?
Last warning.
Whatever.
Yeah, go ahead.
Hi, I'm the father of Eric Rivera. He was murdered on June 6, 2017, in the Harbor Division. LAPD officers killed him. It's important to say that Eric wasn't doing nothing wrong. He was simply walking down the street with his toy that looked like Buzz Lightyear's ray gun. And your patrol officers had something to prove because the day before someone was murdered. So your police officers were rambling around the town trying to find anyone to blame for it. That is bad police work. Another thing your officers did was they left their car in drive when they got out of the vehicle. That's bad police training. Another thing your officers did is hurt himself with their own vehicle. Your officer hit himself with his own police vehicle, thus thinking that he was getting shot at. Thus, your police officers opened fire on my son, which is just walking down the street. And at the same time, you gave my son a choice. Either get hit by a police officer's car that's getting launched at him, or don't move, or we'll shoot. So he had to either move out of the car, away from the car, or get shot by police officers. And you guys did both. You shot him 7 times, 3 from behind, 1 in the back of the head to kill him. And then you ran him over with your vehicles and literally mangled his body and burnt his chest with your exhaust because you left the car on all damn night till the morning.
Adam Smith, please.
Sir, I just want to say on behalf of myself, I'm very sorry for your loss. This matter, as I'm sure you know, hopefully you've been contacted by the family liaison officers who are here in the audience. But our process is obviously the DA does her review regarding the criminal prosecution, possible criminal prosecution.
Process sucks. You had Peter come to our house and interrogate us about our son. Interrogate us for 20 minutes before you guys said, oh, no. Unfortunately, we then forgot to put their car in park. All you guys have kids. What if one of these officers did it to your kid? That's right. You would come down to here and investigate this. We suffer every day, and we got no answer. Because you're not just officers, we suffer. Those always you put us through. It's not right.
Your force investigative officers told me they're going to give me a report that's like this big. I recently contacted him. He said he's not giving it to me. That's bullshit.
We had to find out to get our autopsy, our own way. Everything we've done is our own way. No one has came up to us and helped us. We did all the work. We should be getting paid for your officers.
We should be. We are doing the work that you guys are supposed to be
You
doing.
guys have fun. All your training, where's the $10 million beamers? Where's that training? Where's the counselors for the guys that ran over Eric?
Why do we have to wait all these months?
Are they in counseling? I hope they're
Right? Do
not.
they feel bad? Have they tried to back? Have they talked to you already?
Chief, will you give an update as of any progress you can give on this?
Because she wanted to come and protest for her stepbrother, a 5-year-old. Because she knows what you guys are doing and allowing is wrong.
What apology? What apology? I don't even know what they look like. I don't know what those officers look like. There's no information on those officers. How is that fair? It's not.
How do we know how it looks like? How do I know it's not in front of my house?
Let's let the chief speak.
And they're still patrolling. They're still working. They have to work the next day. How is that right? How can you guys stand behind 2 killer cops that are out there under your guys' time, under your guys' belt to support them? They should not be working.
They get in behind the office answering phones.
Why is that cop that
They're gonna be fired and prosecuted.
still got a license? Why does he got a license?
Chief?
It hurts. It hurts.
I can't imagine the level of pain that you're feeling. I'm very, very, very sorry for your loss.
Thank you. Thank you.
And I promise you, this department takes these incidents very seriously. We have the investigation. The investigation, as you know, is ongoing. It generally takes about 11 months before the investigation is complete. And then once the investigation is complete, there's an analysis done by the department. There's a separate analysis done by our Inspector General and his team. They report directly to the commission, not to the department. We get all of that information. We get the full investigation. We get the chief's recommendation. We get the Inspector General's recommendation. And then this panel, you see these 5 people you see before you. I promise you, we take this incredibly seriously. We weigh every piece of evidence, all the facts, and then we make a determination about whether the officers acted appropriately or not within department guidelines.
I want a copy of the force investigation report, and I don't want to redact it.
Well, there are guidelines within California law. These are personnel matters, so.
Because I have my own.
You guys are all evidence stating that you guys have video of him.
You guys spend millions and millions of dollars on these cameras.
Yes.
Why aren't they public records?
So, in terms of reports, there will be 2 reports that will be made public, both the chief's report and the Inspector General's report. They are redacted in compliance with California law. As you may have been reading about, this commission right now is working on a video release policy that would cover incidents like this one, and that's in process.
And I think that in sort of along the lines that Commissioner Johnson's been expressing, fully appreciate that there is very little that we're going to say that's going to be adequate to your loss. So all we can do at this juncture is just tell you what will happen, what the law allows to happen, but with respect to the ultimate decision that this board makes around the shooting of your son and whether that is deemed in policy or not policy. What we can commit to you, what I can commit to you, what each of us can commit to you is that we will make a decision, we will report that decision, and, you know, we will be personally accountable for that decision. We can't be accountable for every other shortcoming related to this process, but we will be accountable for that decision, and I promise you that you'll know where we are and you can talk to us. In the meantime, I do want to say as well that you know, I can't imagine anything more heart-wrenching than the loss of a child under any circumstances. And I think we all on this board have children, and trust me, there is nothing that you are doing or experiencing or saying that I, don't fully appreciate your right and your frustration and your anger and your pain, and we're going to do the best we can.
Well, I hope you guys get used to our faces because we're coming out every week, and you guys are going to learn to get to know us and what happened to our story and our son. And is there any way that, like, we could talk to you guys one-on-one, like, all together in a room, so you guys can actually take the time to listen to what we have to say and what we need to be done, because those officers are still working. And I don't see how that's legal. I don't see how that's right. It's not. They should be on paychecks now. In fact, our paychecks should be coming to us. We should be getting their paychecks. They should not be working, and they are. What are you guys going to do about that? Because it's not right. There's 2 killer cops that are patrolling the street, and they're unpredictable. They're unpredictable. You can clearly tell that they work off of their emotions and whatever they're feeling at that time. They're not taking anything in consideration. So I don't know. What do we got to do about that?
Okay, Chief, will you speak to the process, and then we can speak to the commission's involvement during an investigation?
Well, the first thing I'll say is, and I will echo what the commissioner said, I am very, very sorry for your loss. It is an awful thing. I have 3 children. I have 3 grandchildren. I can't even imagine. And I understand your anger. I understand your pain as best as anybody that hasn't been through it can. I will promise you this, even though this process does not work as quickly as anybody would like, because we are bound by laws about the employment of police officers. Police officers have property rights to their jobs until a finding has been made and a decision has been made relative to discipline. So we can't arbitrarily in the state of California take away somebody's property rights, and we can't do that with police officers. If you want to hear me, you'll have to listen.
You can speak during public comment. Will you let the chief speak to the family? Would you respect the family and let the chief speak? Go ahead.
We respect them more than you do. Yeah.
And I understand, and it has been reported to me that Family Liaison has been working with you and has been trying to help you in the best way that they can through this process. Now,
I don't want no help from any of those people. I want the help from you guys, because you guys are obviously the ones.
Well, those people.
Can I request something? Because from that lady that you introduced me to at the last commission, with that male person, whatever the partner is, They mentioned that there's re-counseling for parents like mothers like me, and I can get some help, and you guys will pay for it. I don't want re-counseling from any of your guys' side. If I can find somebody that can help me get through this, or a grieving mother's workshop, whatever to keep me busy, I want you guys to pay for that too. I want to help you to get through this. You guys should pay for everything. You know, so help me, please. Let me look for somebody that I could come to and get counseling from this, and please help pay for that, because you guys already offer that. But I don't want to get it offered by your guys' counselors.
And the family liaison officers will do their best to help you do that. And, you know, we will see what accommodations we can make. And that, you know, they are my direct representatives. They work directly for me. The reason we have them is to try to help you to get through a very difficult time. And there's nothing that they can do that will make this better for you, but maybe they can help make it somewhat easier. So I just encourage you to work with them. You know, I understand they're members of the police department, but we also have psychologists that work for the department that may, and if you don't want to work with them, may be able to refer you to somebody else.
Because I live in San Bernardino County now. I'm not from I mean, LA is my hometown, but I'm in San Bernardino County now, so I have to pray to God every week to be able to get down here, and thank God He's been allowing it for me. But, you know, if I could find somewhere up there, you know, like, let me find somebody to help me through this, because I need to talk. I love talking about my son.
Well, we will, I see my family liaison sergeants back there now, and they will do the best they can to help you find a group. And I know a number of them. I don't know any in San Bernardino, but I certainly know groups for grieving mothers in LA, particularly South LA and near to Harbor Division.
And when are we going to be able to see the video? Yes. I smell that the video as much as it's going to kill me, I have to see it, because I gotta know what happened to my baby. And I don't want to have to keep watching for years. And if you guys can see it, I just...
Well, and nobody on the commission has seen it yet, because it's not, the investigation is not done. They will see it when the investigation is done, when they make their decision. And at that time, it will be, there are means by which it could be made available. I would encourage you to work with Family Liaison, and they will explain all that to you on a one-to-one basis, so you don't have to have the conversation in a group of 100 people.
And ma'am, if you or anybody else in your family would like to meet with me, I'd be happy to meet with you privately and walk you through the process in a quieter setting where we can have an easier back and forth.
Same.
Okay.
Thank you for taking the time to listen to us.
We know the process, we're just trying to make this as public as possible.
Thank you.
Thank you for taking the time to actually talk to us, because it's going on almost 8 months and we haven't talked to anybody.
We know the process is you guys commit a crime and then you investigate yourselves.